Hello and welcome to Williams Mullins Benefits Companion, a podcast that helps employers navigate the complex legal challenges of managing their employee benefit plans. I'm your host, Bryden DeWitt, and today I'm joined by Mary Morris, CEO of Virginia 529. Welcome to the Benefits Companion, Mary.
Thank you, Bryden. It's good to be with you.
Most of Virginians are familiar with Virginia 529 for its qualified tuition programs, but today you're here to talk about retirement regarding a brand new program specifically for retirement savings called Retire Path Virginia. So let's start at the top. What is Retire Path and who does it benefit?
So Retire Path Virginia, and you can find out, I'm going to say this several times, I'm sure, but retirepathva.com. Any of your listeners can go out there, find a lot of information about it, can subscribe for updates to get more information. And it is Virginia's pass at a state-facilitated private retirement programs. States have gotten involved in this over probably the last 15 years, and it's just come to Virginia. It's been considered in Virginia over probably the last 10 years, but just in 2021 did we get the mandate, and I'm sure we'll address later why Virginia 529 to do a retirement program. So I can go into that, but it is an attempt to address a 40-year-old problem of not enough people saving for retirement and just having to depend on Social Security. And what we know is that most people who have retirement savings have it through their employer, and about 45% of working Virginians don't have a retirement option at work. And there have been a lot of efforts to change that over, again, the last 40 years, and it just hasn't really moved the needle. So the states have gotten involved, different types of state programs, to offer something to employers. And what we're offering in Virginia is an auto IRA program that sort of takes the guesswork out for employers, allows an employer who's, for whatever reason, not felt able or ready to offer a retirement option. They don't want the fiduciary responsibility. They're not comfortable with it. They think it's too expensive. Whatever the reasons are, this is an option that sort of takes that off of the employer's back and puts it onto the program that's running it. It's an employment-based retirement program for those employers who are not offering something right now to their employees.
Well, I think this is a really terrific program. Over the course of my career, which started in 1995, back in the Stone Age, we've seen the demise of the traditional defined benefit pension plan. I've helped employers terminate many defined benefit pension plans. And so we have a situation where there's a generation of future retirees who are dependent on their own retirement savings, but I don't think the culture caught up to that. They're used to their parents and their grandparents having these pensions that provide a guaranteed income for life. And now the burden is on the employee, on individuals to save. And so anything that we can do to help make that happen, it's very important. So I think this is a great program. When does Retire Path Virginia open?
So we opened in a pilot in February. So we have just very early experience. We wanted to give ourselves 3 to 4 months to get any of the kinks out. This is a brand new platform. We are working with a platform provider, Vestwell, which is a newer fintech company, but their partner in this and their record keeper is BNY Mellon, and who has been our custodian at Virginia 529 for many years. And so I really like that combination of the newer technology, very friendly, customer-centric for the employers and the employees to make it an easy process. But you've also got the BNY Mellon behind it as the record keeper, the platform manager, and the one that people are really interacting with in terms of their money in and investments and all of that. So we opened in pilot just to make sure that the process is working. We will open broadly in Virginia mid-June. I think the 20th is our sort of target date. The statute that gave us the responsibility to build this program says that we're supposed to open by July 1st of 2023. So our plan is to open a few weeks early and, again, just get all the kinks out. So we're starting the process of letting employers know this is a wonderful opportunity for us to talk to employers, because this is a mandatory program for certain employers in Virginia. So the way our statute is written right now, any employer who has been in business at least 2 years in Virginia, we're not trying to get folks who are really just getting started, But after 2 years of being in business, if they have 25 or more, in essence, full-time employees, I will tell you this is one of the provisions that we don't love about our statute. We would like for it to be a smaller number because with the 25 employee threshold, we lose a lot of employers who aren't able to offer a retirement solution, but we have some opportunities there as well. So employees who work 30 or more hours regularly, 25 or more of those. So it's just a little bit more cumbersome to think about, oh, I have 25 full-time employees, basically. They will have to participate if they don't offer a retirement solution at work. So if they don't want to participate with us, all they have to do is open and start a retirement option, and that can be any qualified retirement plan. If they, again, aren't ready to do that, they don't want to do the legwork to figure it out, they don't want the fiduciary responsibility, they don't feel that they're able to make contributions, so they're not ready for a 401k, this is, we think, a really good solution. It is inexpensive for the employees. It is no cost to the employer, with the exception of, we think, will be some very minimal expenses to do the uploading of your employee census or to work with your payroll provider to have this as one more direct deposit that may come out of an account. So we're finding that it's very minimal on the employers in terms of cost and time. And we're trying to offer, a really high quality, well-run program at a low cost for employees, something that will really be valuable.
So an employer, obviously, that has a 401k plan would not have to do this. But what
Nope.
about, a lot of smaller employers will have a simple IRA.
Yep,
If they have a simple IRA, they would not have to do this, but
that's correct.
they may have to consider the advantages of the Virginia program versus
They
the
could.
simple
Yeah,
IRA.
I mean, and we've talked about this, and I think in some parts of the country, and again, we are I think the 7th state to launch. We'll be the first southern state to launch a program, and many of the southern states are still looking at this. So we're a bit of a bellwether. I know we're getting a lot of attention to see how it goes in Virginia, because I think folks who are interested in this product, are thinking, will it move further south? But it opened first in Illinois, Oregon, and California. More recently, Colorado and Connecticut and Maryland have opened programs. We'll be opening. There are a number of other states that are considering it, and in different stages of considering it through their legislature, actually have an implementation plan, or close to launching. So I think we've got 18 states right now have actually taken some positive action to offer a type of program. And then there are a few other states that offer a different kind of solution than an auto IRA. So we're really just they've only been open, I think the longest one's been open for 5 years. So we're starting to get some pretty good data. And what's really encouraging about it is the stick rate. So obviously there's some employers that are going to have to participate, and we're getting the messaging out, and we will give them plenty of time and answer questions and do all of that. The employees, it's completely optional. Obviously, they're going to be uploaded. They're going to get an email that says, here's this opportunity. We'll try to do a lot of education around why it's important to plan and to save for retirement, to look down the road. But if they don't want to participate, then they simply opt out, and we make that easy as well. The encouraging news is that in the other states that have been open, somewhere between 65 and 70% of the employees who onboard stay on. They actually start saving, and they save at the default rate, which in our Virginia program is going to be 5%. We'll have annual escalators of 1% up to a maximum 10%. And again, most of them, those states that have already done this, the majority are sticking with those auto escalations. So it really is making a difference.
Right. It's kind of like employment taxes. People don't notice, it just comes out of their paycheck, and the default enrollment is really what gets people participating, which is important.
Yeah. And we've seen some evidence, Pew has done some research, and we worked with Pew on our program and looking at, how to make it work well. What are some of the reasons to go into this? And there's one from the Commonwealth's perspective. We did a whole study, and it's on that website, retirepathva.com. The report that we did to the General Assembly back in 2020 that went through the options that they had asked to look at this, should we be offering this program? And so we tried to have, I think, a very balanced look at what are the pros and cons of offering this kind of program. And one of them is a cost savings to the Commonwealth. The cost of doing nothing, as determined by, there's a group called ESI that did this study, is close to, I think it's $12 billion over the next 15 years in additional need by individuals who are retiring without sufficient assets.
Right.
So if we can solve that issue of 45% or so of Virginians not having any retirement savings down the road, it saves everybody money. And again, this is a program that is designed to run itself, to be self-sufficient, as have been all of our Virginia programs. We're using interest-free treasury loan for the startup costs, but those will be paid back. So over time, there shouldn't be any cost to the Commonwealth. This program will be paid for by the participants.
And you alluded to earlier the fact that Virginia 529 is responsible for administering the program. How did that come about?
That's a long story. You don't want that whole long story. We've watched this. As I said, this is a sort of a movement that's been building for 15 or 20 years. The AARP around the country has been really involved in it. Pew Research has been, all the folks that look and say, there's a dilemma here. We need people to save more. And there have been federal government programs. There have been a lot of things that try to encourage private employers, the private sector, to take this on. And they do, but it hasn't moved the needle. And so this has been an attempt to say, well, what else can be done? And I think they even looked at 529 programs and said, well, the state can offer programs to the general public, and they work, and they're able to send out a message about the need to plan, the need to save, financial education. That is a huge part of what we do at Virginia 529. So I've been following it in Virginia for a long time. AARP reached out to me probably right after I came to Virginia 529. At that point, I said, this isn't our mission. It's not, I'm not an advocate. We're not a policy maker. Someone else needs to lead that charge for you, but I'm really interested. I thought it was fascinating then. I could see the need, and I could see that if it ever came to be in Virginia, we probably were a pretty good place to look in terms of the vehicle to offer it, because we have that experience. We know how to create savings programs. We know how to work sort of at retail. We know how to reach out to people. We have, a marketing group. We know how to do the messaging, and nobody else in the Commonwealth is doing that. So we've watched it. We've gone through. There were 2 different studies, back starting in 2015, I think was the first study. There's another one in 2017, I think it was. The VRS headed up one. That's the Virginia Retirement System research group out of Christopher Newport. Did an update on that a couple of years later. So the idea has been kicking around, and we've been following it, and we've been engaged because some legislators have come to us knowing of our background and our expertise. So we were helpful in drafting the legislation. When it came around again in 2020, I really thought that it was premature. It was sort of going to a different type of a program, an MEP. And so before we do that, I think it needs one more study. And so we worked with the legislature and turned it into a study bill. And because we raised our hand and said we essentially volunteered to do the study, we did that. And that was what was done in 2020. And we looked at different opportunities. We said maybe the Virginia Retirement System could offer this program, but that would require a real statutory change to be able to do that. We looked at Treasury. You could create a new entity, which some states have done. We said, or you could use Virginia 529. We tried to be fair on that. We did point out that we do this type of program. Anyway, ultimately, the General Assembly said, yes, please, will you do that? And so it was added to our mandate to develop the private retirement program. And that was legislation in 2021, which then gave us, 2 years to act, or a year and a half, I guess, to build the program, because it does take a lot of time to do that, to figure out how you're going to do it, who your partners are, building the systems and all of that. So we think we make sense. We're working on changing our agency name. We are still right now the Virginia College Savings Plan, and that doesn't cover who we are and what we are right now. We've been doing disability savings. We'll talk about that in a different podcast, maybe. Able Now and Able America, which is tax advantage savings for individuals with disabilities. And so we've been doing that. That was added to our mandate, like I said, 8 years ago. And now we've added retirement. So we actually had legislation this past year. It didn't go through for a number of reasons that would change our name. So we will hope and plan to be, a news flash for everyone that's listening. Commonwealth Savers Plan next year is the name that we've come up with, that again gives just a broader overview of who we are and what we are, and that it's an organization that is committed to the financial health and well-being of all Virginians across a very broad spectrum, with a financial education message and then programs specifically geared to education, disability, and now retirement.
Right. I mean, with this expansion into retirement, you're helping to provide solutions for some of the biggest financial issues that Virginians face: saving for
Yep.
college, saving for retirement, and disability.
Any survey I've ever seen, when you say, what do you worry about? What keeps you up at night? What are your goals? What do you save for? No matter how you ask people, there are two things: it's retirement and it's college savings.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, those are the two things that keep families up at night, that they worry about, it's like, I know I need to do something, but maybe I don't know exactly what. And so, yeah, we're trying to solve for that and provide simple solutions, things that don't require in this instance, the employers or the employee to do a ton of research, right? That they're not going to do, or that they haven't done historically. We hope that will be a pipeline for employers and employees. I don't think that this will be the end point for most employers. We're hoping that this will let them see this isn't so bad. And my employees really love the opportunity. It's a connection point for employers to say, we care about our employees and we want them to be prepared for the future. And so if we can offer this at no cost to us, but it's a really good thing for the employees, then we're really hoping that employers will embrace it. And after a few years, if it's a newer place of a newer business and they're doing well, they can say, maybe we can do even more. Maybe we can start that 401k and we can start matching contributions, and we can allow our employees to put even more money in because they're doing better also. That's the dream. But for some employers, and we know certain types of businesses will over-index in this program, retail sales, agriculture, construction, hospitality, and restaurant businesses have a lot of turnover, a lot of younger employees, more transient. I think it's more difficult for those employers to just get started. And so we think this is going to provide a really nice option for that group of folks. And then, for others, it's just a question of getting started. So, and we've seen that, Pew has done some research, and it is showing in the states where it's been open, in Oregon and California, it really is encouraging more employers to open up their own plans. And that's great. We're not trying to be in competition with the private sector, just trying to provide a solution that no one's taken up before.
Well, and it's a way for smaller employers to compete for employees and to retain employees. If there's an easy way to provide a retirement solution, it may tip the balance for an employee to come work for a smaller employer as opposed to going somewhere else where they have a retirement or a 401k plan.
Yeah, we know the states that offer it. I mean, they actually put that in their, when they're doing job listings, they put that it's Oregon Saves out there,
Right.
and that's a part of it. That's one of their employee benefits, right? So I think that is powerful.
And perhaps it helps Virginia compete as against other states that have these programs. The fact that we have it, should help Virginia compete. What about businesses that are not eligible? What can their employees do?
So, well, I would like to say that they can do it voluntarily. I've had this question happen a lot. And, I'm a lawyer by training, but I haven't practiced for a long time. And my lawyers tell me, well, that we can't allow them to because there's the potential that it would violate ERISA. And this is a non-ERISA program. So, we're saying, employers, sorry, if you'd like to do it, maybe help us convince the legislature next year to reduce the employee threshold to either 5, which is where it started originally in 2021, or even to just 1. And that way it opens it up to everybody. But any employee can come in on their own. And most states haven't really sort of advertised that or pushed it. I really want us to in Virginia. I am concerned about the gig workers, the part-time workers, the folks who are working multiple jobs and, they just aren't tapped into it at all. And they're working for smaller employers, or they're working on their own, they're self-employed. And again, they still know they should do something. And yeah, are there plenty of options available to them? Absolutely. That's probably part of the problem. There's just this sort of overload of, I don't know how to select the right option for me. I don't know how to decide what investment managers and what the lineup should look like. So again, we're just kind of hoping that we've developed a trust within the community, within the Commonwealth of Virginia at Virginia 529 for providing, really solid, good choices, well-managed. We have professionally managed accounts that in the employment space, it'll be the same thing. They can think, all right, I can trust these guys. this is where I'm going to go. I'm going to get started. And again, after a time when they're used to it, maybe they move into an employer that offers retirement, and they're going to be more likely to put money in with that employer from the get-go rather than waiting. So again, we hope it's going to be a pipeline for folks. So that will be available. So if you're with an employer that doesn't offer anything, it doesn't have to offer Retire Path, the employee can come in on their own. There's essentially two portals in the system. There's one for employers or those who are in an employment relationship, and then just one for individuals who want to join the program. So we will have that option. The first push in terms of getting the word out, because we really need to reach out to employers right now, but over time, we will spend more time on that message.
So looking ahead, what do employers, we're in May of 2023, what do Virginia employers who are subject to this need to know?
They just need to be on the lookout. They will be hearing from us. So you don't have to do anything until you hear from us. We're working with the Virginia Employment Commission. We have a list of, all the employers, and we've sorted it. So it won't be perfect because no data is ever perfect, but we've tried to sort out, those who are filing, 5,500. So we're trying to not send things to employers that we know are already offering a retirement plan. If you are an employer who does offer one and you hear from us, you get an email from Retire Path VA that says, hey, let's communicate. We think you're the employer who needs to participate. If you're exempt because you offer a program or you haven't been open for 2 years or whatever, you click a box and you are exempted out. So we're trying to make it easy. It'll all be online. We'll be receiving communications to those employers. We'll do some follow-up with regular mail, but most of it will be done online. But we do have, email contacts and physical address contacts for the employers. And so then we start a process of communication to upload their employee census, and then we take it from there. So once we have that connection with the employer, and there's a process for, putting their employees into the database, then all the communication with the employees will come from us. We will accommodate. We know some employers want to talk to their employees. They want to let them know what's coming, and we will certainly, work with them on that. We're developing the messaging, all of the tools, anything that for places of work that, their employees aren't sitting at desks. If it's agriculture, but they have posters in the workplace, we'll provide those. So again, we want to educate both the employers and the employees about what we're offering, what the expectations are, why it's important, why we think that they should participate, but also telling them, when they can opt out and how they can opt out. So really, it's on us to get the message out. We're doing it through things like this. We've been talking to a variety of types of groups, chambers, Rotary clubs, whoever. If you want us to come speak, we are happy to do that. So if your listeners, would like to hear more or have someone from Retire Path VA come and speak to their group, we would love to do that. We'll be trying to get some media attention. I think we've already gotten some, just alerting employers. There's this new thing in Virginia. So we don't want them to be afraid of it. We want them to embrace it. We want them to see it as a good and a positive thing that is not going to be another burden. I know employers think, we've come through 3 years of a pandemic. Life has been hard. Interest rates are rising. The economy's uncertain. I have to do one more thing. And we don't want to be that way. This really should be pretty easy, pretty streamlined, and hopefully something that employers will see as a positive and not a negative, something that's helping them and their employees for the future.
Well, Mary, thank you so much for joining us on the Benefits Companion. This has been very informative.
Well, thank you. And again, just go to retirepathva.com for all kinds of information and to sign up to get more.
If listeners have any questions or suggestions for future episodes of this podcast, please contact me. You can also visit our employee benefits page at williamsmullen.com/employee benefits. There you can find out more about our team as well as past episodes of this podcast and legal alerts. And finally, be sure to subscribe to this podcast to be notified when our next episode posts. Thanks for listening.